Hey guys, welcome to Boho Jewel here on YouTube. My name is Sandra and today we're going to play with resin. I haven't done a resin tutorial in a while, so I thought I would share some tips from what I've been learning from working with alcohol inks. So I've had some wins. This one is a win. And you can see I put the gears in there and you can see how the inks really blossom and shine. I've got some glitter in the background. And it's super shiny already because I've already put the glaze on it. Let's see, here's another one in kind of those orange colors. It's just the resin. I mean, just the inks, no gears or anything. So I love how the alcohol inks flow in the resin because it's such a fun, just relaxed way of doing things. Now this one I've got the ink and then I've also got a little nail polish. I dropped some nail polish in there, so I mixed it a little bit. And then this one, I just went all out and played. So I put a lot of colors in there, and I really like how there's some of these really organic feeling textures in there where it feels like something's almost growing. It's almost like a little forest in there or something. I don't love the white dots on the top. I don't love the background, but texture-wise and setting-wise, it turned out pretty good. And this is kind of cool. I've had a lot of people who really showed interest in this one, so it might just be my perfectionist ways. And again, here, some of the misses, again with the white dots, and this is where I added mixative in, and I'll show you all of that in a minute. The mixative tends to be heavy, so it definitely falls to the bottom. I do like those little speckles around the edges, but I will share that with you. Now, a couple of tips. I've already got one started here to show you some different things. This right here, these are set, and I can't flip it over now because I've got resin in here, but you see how much of the white mixative I added, and it's just not coming out of the mold anymore. So I'll find a way to get it out of the mold, maybe heat it a little bit and try to soften it up and wiggle it out or something. If not, it is what it is. So just be aware of that. The other thing is when you're working with these inks, no matter how careful you try to be, sometimes they want to splatter a little bit. So you will get some splatter along the edges. For the most part, you can clean it out. I think this one still has a little bit of ink from a splatter. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to get out. I like to use old dishcloths or washcloths for when I'm working with resin or even acrylic paint rather than using a bunch of paper towels, and that usually works really well. But I would just say, like, I'm going to work on some Halloween stuff for my daughter and my Halloween costumes. So I'm going to keep these in a separate tray because I don't want that that splatter. You can even see here some of these places where it likes to stick, but it's not a huge deal as long as it doesn't get in the way of your other work. So I've already got my resin mixed right here, and I use the Amazing Clear Cast 2-part epoxy resin. I like this. I have been using this for a long time. I get good results with it. These are the big sizes. It came as a set. When you see the set, it's 32 ounces because they're 16 each. And if you're doing a lot with resin work, I would definitely recommend getting the larger size because you will definitely get more for your dollar if you're doing a lot with it. And I'll try to find the link on Amazon where I got those and post it in the description below for you guys as well. So let me show you the inks. So I've already got my resin mixed, and just pro tip, when you mix your resin, make sure it's equal parts and mix it really slowly. And then I always like to let it sit for just a minute to kind of let some of those bubbles, if bubbles get in there, work themselves out. So I have been working with the Ranger inks. And that's just what I found first, so it's what I've been using. And of course you can get lots and lots of colors. I chose some of these colors to work with today since we finally have fall weather here in North Carolina. So, and I love fall colors, so I'm going to be working with these. So the inks are just inks, you don't have to shake them up, but then we have the mixatives. So the mixatives are quite a lot heavier. They're more dense. And these, they'll have a ball in them. You'll have to shake them up till you hear the ball rattle to get them nice and mixed up. And the mixative is what I used to create the little white parts on here. So I will show you all of that and how that works. So the first thing you'll do, let's see, which tray shall we use? You're going to fill up your mold with resin. And when you're using the inks, I would say don't fill it up all the way to the top. Fill it up just really close to the top because adding the inks in there, first of all, it's going to add a little bit of density. But also, I find that I like to add an extra little layer of resin on the back. I didn't do it on these, but if I'm using a lot of inks, it's kind of nice to leave a little space so that once you're finished, once it's set, you can add that extra little layer of resin. If you use a lot of the inks, if you use a ton, it will keep your resin soft. So that's a lesson learned, kind of less is more kind of situation here. And you will see that the inks really do bloom out a lot. So I just dropped a few drops in this one. This one I left a little more empty because I want to show you what happens if you layer on top of the inks with resin. So let's see, what color should we start with? Let's start with Sunshine Yellow. It's a super cloudy day here, so we'll start with Sunshine Yellow. Though I don't really mind super cloudy days. I kind of enjoy them. So, and we're just going to drop, and I'll let you see how that blooms out. Super pretty. And then I'm going to, let's see, I may go ahead and drop it over here too. Drop a couple of them over here, and you can see how it kind of pushes against each other. And another thing I would say is I don't necessarily screw the caps back on, but keep the same cap with your bottle when you're working, because if a lot of ink gets into the caps, and so it's easy for it to get mixed up if you put the wrong color cap back on. I learned that the hard way. So now this is Stream. So I'm going to add a little stream right on top of there. Ooh, so groovy. And over here too. And you can see how it blooms out, and it's just fun. I've been playing around, this is Sunset Orange. I've been playing around with trying to come up with a way to create specific patterns. But I don't know that I really want to. I think it's just kind of fun to do this. And then we're going to add butterscotch. And you can see how the colors are going to blend and mix. And really, that's pretty much all I did with this one. And you can see how the colors really blend and mix together. So I'm just going to take this safety pin because it's all I happen to have here right now. Take a paper clip, and you can go in there and kind of swirl just a little bit and mix it up a little if you wanted to. This one has been sitting for a little while, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of an additive. Because it's been sitting for, I don't know, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 minutes or so, I'm going to shake up my mixative. So it gives the resin a tiny little bit of time to set. So I'm just going to add like 1 drop. And you can see how it works its way across the resin. So again, less is more with this. The more you drop in there, the more it's going to want to sink. And I'm going to put, but you can see it does bloom out on top of the ink, which is really cool. So you can see how the inks want to kind of work with and against that push-pull, but you see how it really brightens it up too. So I'm just going to let that move around a little and do its thing. It's just fun. It's just a lot of fun. And you can see, I don't know how well it's picking up on the camera. Yeah, you can just see where it's pushing across and creating those patterns. And I'm going to just do that. And so what happens is you can see where it got stuck on the pin and how that kind of clumped together. That's just the reaction of everything. That's the reaction of the mixative and the alcohol ink. Kind of like if you watched my video with the polish, the same kind of thing. Like once that polish got in there, and like with the mixative, it wants to kind of set. It just has that reaction. So if you're adding your mixative, I would say definitely add it once the resin has been sitting for a few minutes, just to let it kind of, to keep it from just going to the bottom and getting stuck on your trays. And you don't need much because it will expand some as well. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to add, okay, I decided I'm going to add a purple to this mix because purple is always good. Purple Twilight. I'm going to add that right there. Boom. And it's fun to see how they all mix too. So now I'm going to add a little resin over top and just kind of drizzle it. So you can see where the resin kind of creates that pattern, where that little stringy pattern. Because the resin is then going to push it away. It's going to push the alcohol ink around a little bit more too. So that's it creates an interesting effect once it's set. So it creates kind of that spider webby look in there too. So I'm going to go ahead and just play with that and fill that up a little bit more, almost to the top, and let it sit. So you can see how that created a different effect already, and hopefully it picks up well enough. You can see where it creates almost that like gem effect, and it's very spidery and wispy looking in there. Isn't that cool? So now, let's see, I'm going to add a little to the heart, and same thing. You can see where we got all that, we got that crazy cool green, like almost like a deep jade color. And now just adding that little bit of resin, and that we didn't even use a green. It wasn't necessarily a green. This is a teal and the yellows. So it's interesting to see how it mixes up. Let's see, let's do one more. I'm going to show you my little trick. Top secret. Top secret of how I get these neat swirls in here like this. I was playing around with this a lot, and I'm going to share my secret. So let's see, let's use the other heart. I don't have a lot of heart pendants, so let's use the heart. And my resin has been sitting for a while, so you can see where it's thickening up a good little bit too. So let's do a purple and the teal. And you can see even probably, you can tell the difference between how when the resin has started filling up a bit and when it's still fresh and it's more runny, the different effects that it has on the ink. And we'll do the yellow. Let's see, where are we going to put the yellow? Right here. Isn't that cool? I think this is just something super relaxing. I feel like if you are tense about your jewelry making, if you're getting tense about your work, then this is a really nice way to kind of loosen back up again, to just kind of play again a little bit and let the resin do what it's going to do and let the colors do what they're going to do. So now the way that I was able to get these, this one's a really pretty example. It's not shiny because I didn't put a glaze on it, and I also worked too much ink into it, so it's really soft. But I didn't fill it up all the way either. That's why it's so small still. But I got this really fun ribbony effect. You just take some of the additive, the mixative. I don't know why I keep calling it an additive. Shake it up to make sure that it's nice and shaken. You have to hear that ball rattle. And this almost reminds me of a paint. So, yeah. So, I'm going to drop just a few drops of that on there. And usually I use a paper clip, but for some reason my paper clip has disappeared. I had to switch my table around and I've lost my paper clip. So I'm sure the safety pin will work just as well. I'm just going to dip that safety pin in there. There's like hardly anything on it. Like you wouldn't even know that this would do anything. And then I'm going to go into my resin and give it a swirl. And that's it. And then it sinks down. I might try just like that. And then it's going to kind of sink down, but it's not so much of that mixative that it gets really, really heavy. So that's that, you guys. What I will do, I think will be fun, is I will let these set because, you know, the resin has to sit 24 hours is best. 12 hours you can pull it out, and if you want to play around with it, you can do that. But really 24 hours for it to set. So I will see if I can get a little unmolding video made to go along with this one tomorrow morning. I'll pop them out so you can see what they look like on the other side. But it's a lot of fun, so I definitely recommend sitting down to play. Just play, just have fun with it. Experiment. It's good times. It's just neat. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you got some good tips out of this. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I have lots more coming. I will also be soon sharing some videos of exciting new jewelry stuff that I'm adding to my business, along with all my handmade goodies. All right, guys, thanks for watching and keeping up with all my silliness. Have a great day. Bye.